So next up is how to run our business, and Les Landes, the president of Landes and Associates, a management consulting firm, provides services in planning, communication, employee engagement, and performance improvement systems. Drawing on his expertise as a certified Lean Six Sigma professional, he offers clients an array of processes, tools for systematic continuous improvement. A nationally recognized expert on employee engagement, he is the author of the business fable, Getting to the Heart of Employee Engagement. Please welcome Les Landes.
Make any difference word for it? Does that work right there? Great.
Perfect.
And should I stand right here? Great, thanks. So we started out by talking about, does anybody here want to improve their sales process, right? Everybody knows they got to do that. But let me ask this question. How many of you really feel like there are improvements that need to be made in other aspects of your business? I mean, seriously, I'd like to see a raise of hand.
Absolutely.
Interestingly, we all work on improving our sales process because we don't and then we die. But we don't tend to work on those things that need to be improved, just our basic operating activities, because you know what, we got work to do. We got too many other things to do to really think about systematic continuous improvement. So I really want to talk about the power and potential of systematic continuous improvement, as opposed to the kinds of one-off activities that we tend to engage in when we're making improvements in our operations. And this may sound like a little bit of a hyperbole, but I sincerely believe that it really is a vital key to sustainable success and superiority in your business. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of Jim Collins' Good to Great. How many of you have heard about the book? We've all heard this phrase, right? Good is the enemy of great. Here's what I believe is even more important. Great is the enemy of better. Because we easily get stuck in our greatness. This is working so great, working so super. Why in the world would I want to change it? Well, the question is, do you want to be better? Tony Robbins says, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. That may be just fine, but it's never going to take you to that next level of superiority in the way that you run your business. This is a great quote from Gretchen Rubin, Better Than Before. The book is full of gems and pearls. And this one really knocked me off my chair. We are all caught in the habits and routines of our lives. And you know what? We need them. If we had to rethink everything we do every single day, we'd never be able to make it out of the house in the morning. But if we also let ourselves get stuck in these routines and habits, they're going to become our master. Habit is a good servant, but a bad master. I mean, think about that. Peel that back a while. And since we are creatures of habit, and we're never going to stop being creatures of habit no matter how hard we try, the way that you make it systematic is this way. You create an intentional habit for improvement to break the default habit of doing things over and over again the same way. An intentional habit for improvement to break the default habit of doing things over and over again the same way. Here's some of the reasons why employees in an organization don't try to make improvements. No one listens, they don't really care, it's not part of my job, too much trouble, I got work to do. This is the stuff that's going on in their heads. No time for thinking about improvement, let alone actually making improvements. Well, yeah, we may have an open door policy, come in whenever you think about it, but I got work to do. And the supervisor is thinking, you know what, I really wish that John would stop coming to me with ideas all the time because I got work to do. We don't have systems and processes for continuous improvement because we get caught up in the work to do. So, what do we got to do to make it work? First of all, it has to be inviting, truly an invitation for people to participate in continuous improvement. Second, it has to be a routine. We have to have a systematic routine, and you gotta make it easy. Don't make it complicated, don't make it difficult. Understand that this small stuff is so vitally important. We tend to disregard the little things, but if you get the cumulative effect of lots of small things, improvements building on top of one another, this is when you really get huge impact in an organization. What you do every day, however small, has far greater impact than what you do once in a while, however big. That systematic drip, 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 continuous improvement. Now, recognize that a lot of the folks in this room are pretty much one or two man operations. This system really is designed mainly, or the tools and the processes that I have in the various systems that I have, they're mainly for getting people together in groups of 4 to 5 every week or two to talk about specific improvements. But you guys all work with clients. Does that mean you tend to go?
Yep.
Okay. But you all have clients who use this kind of stuff in one way, form, or another, who really want to make improvements. And I'm going to give you a couple of tools that you can use. I've got about a dozen of them in my kit bag. I'm going to tell you about 2 in particular. One is the weekly huddle. Teams meet once a week, that kind of a group, 30 to 60 minutes, and then the first thing you look at is what are the metrics for our team? What are the key things that we measure our success by? Now, they may only change once a month, so you don't have to look at them all the time. But you need to make sure that whatever you're doing is improving the stuff that you are being measured to do. Then you review new and ongoing improvements. Literally go around the room. Small things, good. Big things, okay. Really looking for the small things that we can execute real quickly. Then you assign offline actions for moving forward. This is also what gets a little difficult for some organizations. You mean I'm going to take people off of the regular daily work that needs to get done and have them make improvements? I say, well, yeah, unless you want to stay where you are for the rest of your life. Let people have time to work on those things. I don't know how that got messed up. And then last, acknowledge and celebrate accomplishments. Kudos, acknowledgments of your teammates right there on the spot. We come up with all these silly programs, recognition programs, bonuses, incentives, employee of the month award, which is a terrible thing to do to a team. When you can use these moments and these opportunities to actually say, you know what, I love what you do, thank you so much for what you're contributing to this team and to the performance of our organization. So, to make it real, I've got this tracking form. I know you can't read everything here, but in the left, you describe it, who's submitting it, who's working on it, what's the estimated value of doing this, what's the first step, the next step, what's the date we're putting it in, target date, and then completion date. You make sure that people are seeing, doing this in real time in the sessions, you're putting this information in there. So people say, you know what, I'm being heard, they're listening to me, they're taking action. I'm getting some control over the actions and decisions that affect my life. That's what employee engagement is about. Being heard, taken seriously, having control over the actions and decisions that affect your lives. Most employees don't get that because they gotta do the freaking job. Right? You gotta get the work out. But if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Nothing more. Next one, it's called the DEMI method. This is where you strip down a process, rebuild it, take out all of the friction points, inefficiencies, all that kind of stuff. Again, you get teams working on the process involved in these conversations. And DEMI stands for these 4 things: document, execute, maintain, and improve. It's a continuous cycle. We always pick on people for poor performance. I will tell you that bad processes can turn good people into poor performers in a heartbeat. I see it all the time, constantly. So what do? Let's document the as-is process right now. And you use really sophisticated tools called Post-it notes. On one color, you have what are the steps in the process. Break it down as simply as you can, as completely as you can. And then underneath each of these steps, what are issues, problems, inconsistencies, breakthrough or breakdowns, friction points, potential fixes. And this is an actual example of me working with a client. Put all the post notes in yellow, first step, last step, put all the stuff in the middle, and then all the stuff that's in blue right there, they didn't use pink, they did it for something else. But those are the things that we look at. Okay, so now this takes an hour and a half, maybe, a couple hours. Then what you do is you break this down and you put the new process into a process documentation form. You execute it, finalize, make sure you let the people know who are involved in the process. Then you monitor and maintain it. After 30 days, make sure it's doing what you said you thought it was going to do, the improvements it was going to make. Maintain some periodic reviews to ensure it's on track. The improved piece is fix what's not working when the process fails. When it fails, get together with people who are working on it. If new ideas emerge, again, make adjustments. And then this is the key. However good your process is, always do an annual review. Break it down again and again and again every year. What are some of the other benefits of systematic continuous improvement? Like I said, those are just a couple of tools. I got about 10 or 12 of them. But really important, people believe they're being heard and taken seriously when you do this kind of stuff. Taps into their natural desire to improve. I mean, all of us, and that's been the theme of the day, all of us want today to be better than yesterday. We want tomorrow to be better than today. No matter what the hell it is. That's in our genes, it's on our DNA. So tap into that with people. People feel more engaged, more valued, more loyal. It deepens their appreciation and sense of belonging. You know, I say if you really want to know what it is that people want in an organization, it's as simple as ABC. They want to achieve, they want to belong, they want to contribute. They want to achieve, they want to belong, they want to contribute. This is a powerful way to do that. Makes people feel part of a winning team. We all want to be part of a winning team. We love it when our team wins. University of Iowa, I'm so passionate about it. Anybody here heard of Caitlin Clark?
Yeah.
Yay! I mean, we've just been fanatics. I'm not even on the freaking team, but I love being part of that connection. Keeps the organization ahead of change instead of behind the change. It fosters a problem-solving culture, and it improves customer relationships. And here, you have big bottom-line impact when you do this stuff well and you do it consistently all the time. So, instead of taking people deep into the entire culture change work that I do with my employee engagement and alignment system, I've come up with this 8-week program where the first week I prepare the teams. Second to the fifth week, I work with 2 teams on the DEMI process management work. Weeks 2 through 7, I work with some 2 teams on the continuous improvement huddles. And then week 8, we do an analysis of the savings and the activities. So now I'm getting people into this whole work, which usually can go from anywhere from 8 to 18 months. I'm trying to do this now in 8 weeks, just to get them, it's kind of a pilot, to get their toe in the water and feeling what it's like to have this kind of process going on with just a small group of people. So anybody wants to know anything more about that, I've got a flyer on that entire program that I'm offering. And this is it. Anybody, you're probably familiar with Atomic Habits, another one of those great books that everybody on the planet seems to have read. Winners and losers have the same goals. Winners and losers have the exact same goals. Create habits for continuous improvement, and the results will fix themselves. That's it. So, questions, comments? Yeah.
Where do you get the sticky notes?
You know what? I know a great source. There's this office supply company.
Should be part of your
Mark
package.
Grimer.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm just wondering, that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, you use lots of sticky notes for this work. Any other comments or questions? Yeah.
So do you offer something like this for the solopreneur?
You know what? I really thought about that, and I should have spent more time working on it before I got here. But here's what I would highly recommend. You need to have an accountability partner to do this. Because I'm telling you, you will not stick with it if you don't. Get an accountability partner, set up a time that you are going to work on improvements, and you're going to document it on an improvements tracking form just like that. And you're going to do it once a week, for 30 minutes or however many, 30 to 60 minutes yourself, if you're a solopreneur. Then have an accountability partner that you share that information with on a weekly basis who says, let me see what you've done this week. Just let me see what you've done this week. Very constructive, very supportive, not beating anybody up, but get an accountability partner. Have a tracking form and say, here are the improvements I'm working on. Here's what I've done this past week. Yeah.
I have a comment and a question. So the acknowledge the little wins,
Yes.
I really love, because I always tell my clients to think, make friends with your subconscious mind, so every time you get a good idea, every time you do anything, whether it's to pick up a fork instead of a spoon, just, acknowledge it and say, good job, subconscious mind, and then that brings things to
I love
run. Yeah. What my question was, did you say something along the lines of, it's a bad idea to have an employee of the month?
I think it's a terrible idea.
Oh, okay, so you did. Okay,
It's terrible.
Sorry.
Terrible thing to do to a team. If you've got 30 people on a team, how long does it take to get around to acknowledge somebody for the contributions?
Exactly.
3 years. And then you have to say, well, I know that John really did better than Mary, but we can't have John the same every month, the same guy, the Employee of the Month award, as great as he is. It's insane. When we can do the spontaneous, in the moment, acknowledgement and appreciation, heartfelt appreciation. I've seen people get tears in their eyes. I've never seen anybody get a tear in their eye from the Employee of the Month trophy. I'm overstating for effect. But think about it, all the time you're doing this acknowledgement and appreciation for what people are contributing to your lives.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm overstating for effect, and I actually got taken to task because my daughter, who's a nurse, got the Employee of the Month award at the hospital where she was working. And you know what the difference was? It was her peers who selected her. It wasn't the managers. I said, you know what? Maybe that's okay. It's her own peers, her own colleagues who gave that to her.
But when my nephew was in 3rd or 4th grade, his teacher had a Citizen of the Week thing, and she didn't get around to him.
Yeah.
And it crushed him.
Yes.
It absolutely crushed him.
Yeah.
When let's take that example, Citizen of the Week. Instead of picking one person, let's all talk about what we did this week to be a good citizen of the week. Let's all talk, and then let's acknowledge one another. Great, Darlene. Great, Kara. Wonderful. Everybody who's contributed, achieve, belong, contribute. Everybody who's contributed gets acknowledged.
That's awesome. That's like really cool. I'm gonna go back and be a teacher now.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I wish I would have had that
Yeah.
in my toolbox when I was a teacher.
You'd be great. Oh, you were a teacher.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're great at it.
yeah, thank you.
Seriously. All right, anything else? Great. Thank you all.